Debt consolidation has a lot of bad rep out there. A lot of people say that debt consolidation is a bad thing because you're moving one debt from one place to another. And if you haven't changed your behavior, then you should not be doing any debt consolidation. They also say like it's a trap. They also say that you end up paying more than what you could have paid when you have the original debt. But I am here to dismantle that belief because I believe that debt consolidation, when used right, is such a great tool and can save you a lot of money. And in this community, I'm not about, shaming people about whether they have debt or not. In this community, it's all about, support, because we all get into debt because of different reasons. Some people get into debt because they had a situation. Others, maybe it's behavior, but we cannot categorize every single person who is in debt and say that it's behavior and that we cannot do certain things with debt consolidation because we're just moving debts from one place to another and we don't know what we're doing. I got into debt because I lost my job in 2021 because I got into a car accident. I am a registered mental health nurse and haven't been able to go back there. Other people's situations happen and they get into debt. So in this, as I said, in this community, we are all about supporting one another. It doesn't matter how people got into debt or didn't get into debt. What is debt consolidation? Debt consolidation is when you move all your debt, when you have multiple debts and move them into one debt. Instead of paying multiple lenders, you are paying just one lender. And there are several reasons why people do debt consolidations, either because they are unable to manage their debts because it is so much, the interest rate is so high, and they are unable to pay the debts that they have. And so they just want to just that one small chunk, and they feel like it's better and it's more manageable. When I talk about debt consolidation, I'm talking about consolidating your debts, like maybe the credit card, student loans, or whatever you have, into like a personal loan, as opposed to I'm not going to be talking about debt relief, all those kind of stuff. I'm going to be talking about when I say debt consolidation, I'm talking about maybe getting a personal loan. There are several ways that people do debt consolidation. And as I said, when I talk about debt consolidation, I'm talking about personal loan. So they start personal loan, and then there is debt transfer, where you take all your balances, or let's say you have multiple balances on credit card, and you transfer them to one credit card that has zero interest rate until maybe for 12 months or for 18 months. Most of the credit cards usually give you 12 to 18 months. A great example of debt consolidation is like this example I'm going to be putting here. This is a personal loan that I took in 2024 in July for $19,800 because I had two credit cards that were maxed out. And that's a story for another day. And I consolidated it into a personal loan of $19,800, two cards and one loan. I'm such a big advocate of debt consolidation. I'm going to be talking about my story and what worked for me and what is working for me. And this is not a financial advice. So I'm just talking about what has worked for me. So in 2021, as I said, my husband and I, we both lost our jobs and found ourselves in such a huge debt. And we started using our credit cards. We used our savings. We used everything that we had. And not until 2024 that when my husband got a job, because when we had tried to refinance before, we didn't have an income, so there was no way to do that. There was no documentation supporting that. So in 2024, he got a job in February, and that July of 2024, I went to a credit union and I got a personal loan, and they gave me a personal loan for $19,800. The reason why I chose a personal loan over a balance transfer was because, with balance transfers, they only sometimes give you a grace period of 18 to, some of them will do 12 to 18 months. I haven't seen anything beyond that. And I didn't want to feel like I'm being pressured to pay that in 18 months because I didn't want to just feel like, okay, I transferred it for 18 months and then I have to do it again. So I was looking for something that had a little bit more time and something that's going to maybe lower the payments, what I was paying for the two cards, so that it can also give me some flexibilities. And there is actually nothing with a balance transfer, because I have done that too. And there's a lot of also misconception about balance transfer, which I also love if you're in a client, because when you do balance transfer, you give yourself, like if you know what you're doing, if you're disciplined, you give yourself a chance to have those 18 months without paying interest. Then you can be paying another debt with that. But a lot of people feel like, there's this also misconception that, there's a lot of fees with the credit card transfer. But then again, calculated, the interest that I was going to be paying for those 18 months was like even over $1,000, as opposed to like this balance transfer fee was like what, $200. So for me, that $800 saving, it was something. And again, I know some people will say, why do that? Stop chasing the interest rate and stop just chasing all this. For me, it works for me. And if it works, it's good to do these things. So let's talk about the advantages of debt consolidation and why I love debt consolidation, and why you should not let anybody shame you into debt consolidation. Number one is that it lowers your interest rate. The interest rate that I was paying on these credit cards was 29.9%, and with the personal loan that I got, we're paying 13.49%. So as you can see, that's literally half of the interest rate. So that's number one, you cut down on the interest rate. And the amount of the interest rate, can you imagine the amount, this was like, it's $19,000. The amount of money that I was paying on the credit card was so much money, and most of it was going to interest as opposed to the principal. So you're saving so much money when you do this. Number two is that you are going to pay your debt off faster. And again, I'm here to demystify the myth that, that debt consolidation don't work. When you are disciplined, you are going to pay that debt faster. And as I said, the debt that I got it in 2024. And the due date that that loan is supposed to mature is 2029. And that loan, we have paid it off, and the amount that is remaining right now is only $3,100. And I'm going to put those numbers here somewhere on the screen. So $19,800 since 2024, and we're in 2026, and I have $3,100 left and some change. So as you can see, I am paying it faster, and I'm going to save how much? I'm going to save almost 2 years and 9 months. My goal is to get it paid. Our goal is to get it paid in the next 3 months. But if we don't, we are definitely, when we make our regular payments, we are definitely due to be paid off by September or by December. And if I do that, can you imagine the amount of money that I will have saved for 2 years that I'm not saving, and I'm not paying any interest at all? So, and you tell me that there's something wrong with that? No, there is not. Number three is you only have one bill to focus on. So if you have multiple payments that you were paying before, some people can get overwhelmed by all the due dates that they have. Some people can also be overwhelmed by feeling like, this is too much to manage, and having just one thing is better for other people. For me, it wasn't about, how to manage it, because I have a system and my debts are paid, like I pay automatically. So, but the thing is, when I have this one debt, and that's all that I'm looking at, because I have other debts, but this time around, because in 2026, we decided that we're only focusing on this one debt, and we're paying the minimum on the other ones. So when you focus on this one debt, it is more manageable. You're seeing the progress, as opposed to where when you're paying so many different debts, you get to feel like you're all scattered. But this one, when you're focused on one, it's doable, and you can literally see the needle moving. Another advantage is, number 4 is, when you have a personal loan, it's an installment loan as opposed to a credit card where it's revolving. What do I mean by installment? An installment loan is where, you have this personal loan, you're supposed to pay it for 5 years. you have an interest rate that is fixed, and you have a fixed amount that you're supposed to be paying. For example, my fixed amount, as I said, is $458. I pay that every month, and I pay at 13.49%. And this loan is supposed to be paid off in 5 years. So that's what I mean by it's an installment. You already know the amount of money that you're going to be paying every month. There's a due date, and you don't even have to worry about it. As opposed to a credit card, which is revolving. What it means by revolving is that if you keep paying for it, you pay, but still you can still keep using that, as opposed to like when I pay my loan, once it's done and it's gone, and that account is closed. As opposed to this credit card, when I pay, I can use that money again and again and again and again, and there was never end to that. So the advantage of an installment loan is that, you pay it and you get it done with it and you forget about it. As opposed to credit card, where sometimes, you can pay, like, let's say $600, and let's say something comes up, or you use your credit again, and then you put yourself back into debt. So that's another advantage that I find, that, because I am not using my other credit cards. So that's one advantage that I'm seeing, that, because this loan is fixed, and once I pay for it, and once I pay the amount of money, it's a loan that is decreasing, and I'm now gonna be able to access that money again. Number 5 is another advantage is, and this advantage I wasn't looking for it, is that it lowers your credit utilization. So when you have maxed cards, when I had the cards were maxed out, the utilization was very high. But then when I took that loan and the cards, were paid off, so then the utilization went down. And so by default, my credit score went up, and even I get alerts all the time. And I'm gonna also put that here so that you can see. Credit Karma always send me alerts telling me that my credit score went up. It went up by 86 points. It went up by 100 points. So my credit score, it hadn't dipped that bad, but it's almost at 800, but it has gone up steadily because I'm also paying. I don't have the credit cards are at 0, and then this loan I'm aggressively paying it. So by default, the credit score has gone up. So that's another advantage, because now, even though I'm not looking for loans or anything, I have an advantage. If I have to apply for another loan, I can be able to get a better rate. As opposed to 13.4%, I'm sure I can get a better loan of maybe 9% or even 8%, because maybe my credit score is better right now. So that's another advantage that I find, even though, as I said, I wasn't looking to improve my credit. By default, my credit score went up. As you can see, there is a lot of advantages of debt consolidation if you know what you're doing, and if you know that you're not gonna get yourself into debt. For me, there is no con. There is con that people talk about, but for me, I did not see any disadvantage of me consolidating these debts. And once I pay this loan, I will show you, because I have other debts, and I'm gonna decide then what I'm gonna do, whether I'm gonna take another loan to pay the other debts. I will keep you posted, because right now I'm just concentrating, as I said, I'm concentrating on one debt at a time. So for me right now, I wouldn't find any disadvantage of consolidation loans. But this is what I'm gonna say: if you're a person that you do not know why you want to get out of debt, and you're not sure that this is a long-term decision for you, then this might not be for you. Because if you haven't made up your mind, you might find yourself that you have this consolidation loan, but you're still using your credit cards. And I have done a video where I've talked about the big reason that you are able, or I am able, to get on this journey is because I discovered my why. And actually, I have a workbook for you, and I'm gonna link it in the description, and it talks about the number one reason before you even start tackling your debt is that you have to find your why. Because when we get into debt and we want to get out, what is going to push us to get out of this debt when things become tough is knowing our why. And when you don't know your why, it's very, very easy to just say, you know what, I'm going to use these cards again. So get that PDF. I'm going to put the link, as I said, in the description. Grab it. And it's some work that I have there for you to work and try to figure out what your why is and what the reason that you want to get out of debt. So for me, I think that would be the biggest con. Just, somebody who is not ready, that would only be the disadvantage that I can pinpoint right now. But other than that, for me, if you have high interest debt, definitely get that consolidation loans. Consolidate your loans, because guess what, we're not about, as I said, we're not about shaming people who consolidate their debts. And if you know that you got into debt, for a good purpose, or it wasn't your fault, hey, get that loan, consolidate. So long as you're not gonna go back when those cards are at zero, you're not being tempted. Because right now for me, I have a few cards that are at zero, and I have zero interest in using those cards, because I can see, like, I'm thinking right now, what could I be doing with all this money that I'm paying these debts off? But again, I know a time is coming when all that money, I can take it back. I'm a real estate investor, and I can start doing, what I love to do, putting that money back into real estate, Would I recommend debt consolidation? Yes. If you need somebody to cheer you on, if you want to get to do this debt consolidation, I will cheer you on. So long as you have the right mindset, so long as you're getting the right rate, and so long as you have the right habits, guess what? You can be able to do this, because I am a testimony that this is doable. And as I said, I have done a video before showing you how I pay my debt, how I don't pay it on time. Not on time in that sense, like, if it's due on the 21st, I usually make sure that I pay it early, so that, because they calculate on the personal loan, they calculate the interest daily. So I make sure that I pay a little bit early, so that, the days can shrink where they are calculating the interest. So debt consolidation, as I said before, it's such a powerful tool, and I would do it. If I had to do it again, as I said, I will do it again in a heartbeat. And once this debt is done, once this $3,000 on this particular debt is done, my husband and I will sit and look and see what we want to do with the next debt. And I'll keep you posted and let you know what we're gonna do. But definitely, let's walk with this journey together. Let me know, would you do debt consolidation? Have you done debt consolidation? Was it helpful or was it not? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.